Hi everyone. Um, I've been wanting to make this video for a little while now, and it's just taken me a little bit of time to figure out what actually went wrong and why. Um, I got back from Korea about 3 weeks ago. Actually, today would be 3 weeks, and I have a list of 5 things that went wrong. Some of those things are my fault, and one of those things is Amazon's fault, and everything else was just a mixture of cultural and misunderstanding and just websites. Okay, so the first thing that went wrong, and it was pretty major, is that I did not get the right kind of SIM card. I specifically searched on Amazon for SIM cards with voice, not just data. And Amazon showed me a lot of SIM cards that didn't have voice on them. I mean, you you click on the descriptions and it's like essays on SIM cards, and the actual information is buried in there somewhere. So I trusted Amazon, and I guess that was one of my mistakes. Um, from now on, I won't be buying SIM cards off of Amazon. Um, so anyway, so I had no voice capability on the SIM card, so I had no phone number, and that led to other problems because one, you need a Korean phone number to register for your visitor visa. I fudged that. I used the corporate number for the hotel, but you need that. You need a Korean phone number even beforehand, even before you need the SIM card. So anyway, I was also unable to register for apps for to be used in Korea because I didn't have a Korean phone number. They're like, well, if you don't have a Korean phone number, we don't consider you Korean, so you're not allowed to use this app. Okay, well, that ruined the aspect of postcards for my friends and family because I had no way of printing out the photographs that I wanted to send them. Um, Now, because of a quirky law in Korea, Google is not allowed to map. They're not allowed to drive around Korea and, you know, photograph the streets and things like that and the bus routes. So Google Maps for Korea is it's pretty sparse. There are a few restaurants here and there registered on them, but there are other apps that are Korea based like Kakao and Naver. I had Naver on my phone, but I deleted it so that I could use Kakao. Kakao has really good bus route information on it. And I also had maxed out the room on my phone. My mistake. Um, I remedied that. I've got a new phone now with double the storage space, but I literally could not have both of those Korean apps on my phone. Um, Looking at the difference between the two in terms of, places to go and eat, Naver probably would have been better, because Kakao had several locations um, pinned on its map that near where I was staying that I wanted to try. However, a lot of those listings were outdated. Some of those restaurants had been closed for years. And so I didn't get to try a lot of the really good Korean food that I specifically went to Korea to try. Um, Another thing was uh, shops didn't open until 10 a.m. So if you were hungry, or if you're somebody that eats breakfast early, you had to get food the night before. In Incheon, even the convenience stores weren't open 24 hours. I've seen videos on YouTube about convenience stores in Seoul being open 24 hours. But there was only one chain that was 24 hours, and you needed a Korean credit card or a Korean cash card to get in and it had to have a QR code on it that you could scan. And just because you could get in didn't mean that there was going to be staff members there. They had a sign that said between 1 and 7, 1 a.m. and 7 a.m., this store is unmanned. So even if I could have got in, I don't know what I would have done. Uh, and so part of the um, restaurants and things not opening until 10 a.m. meant I really had to scrounge for places to eat, and I basically survived off of 7-Eleven because there was one that would open at 9 a.m., I think, or maybe a little bit earlier. But one day I went over there and they were actually closed until 9 a.m. And I don't know what that was about, but anyway. Um, and there were a few places I wanted to try. There was a place that sold shakshuka, the egg dish with tomato sauce. I wanted to try that because I'd never actually had that in a restaurant before. And another place I had found served Western style brunch. Both of those places were no cash, only credit card. So that made me think, because I know that in the United States at least, and I assume that in Canada, when you present legal tender, aka bills, not coins, but bills, to pay for your breakfast, they have to accept it. I don't know what that law is nowadays, and I guess in Korea they may not have it, but these two places were real letdowns for me personally. Nothing against them, but I was really looking forward to trying what they had to serve. Um, Another problem I had was in planning the trip, I relied too much on third-party sites that had incorrect information. I knew going in that my hotel was going to be self-check-in, but I relied on a site that said there will be a desk clerk. There was no desk clerk, like a concierge. No, there were cleaners there for certain hours in the morning, um, but they're not really going to know anything up. Like, you're going to have some pretty serious questions that have nothing to do with housekeeping, and they're not going to be able to answer them. And the other thing I had a problem with is that what Google Maps had or didn't have, and what Kakao Maps had, was very outdated. And there were a couple restaurants I wanted to go to. A very like 5-star Italian restaurant right around the corner from my hotel. Apparently they hadn't been open for 2.5 years. And they still had a full listing on Kakao Maps. So I asked them to remove it, and then I also asked them to add a couple more for places that weren't on there. And they did. They added some of them, but not all of them. And basically, it comes down to I didn't plan well enough. I expected things to be not. I didn't expect them to be exactly like Japan, but I expected them to be fairly close to Japan, and maybe in Seoul they are, but I didn't go to Seoul, and so I'll have to plan better. I came home with about half of the cash that I had taken with me, so I have all this cash sitting around that I don't really want to go and get exchanged back. Um, I don't know, maybe I'll make some money on the deal, like a couple bucks. I don't know what the exchange rates are right now, but I'd rather just keep it and spend it on another trip. Um, because I did meet some really fantastic people over there, and And on this trip, I limited myself to a very small area because I was afraid of not finding my way to the airport in time. So I didn't want to travel too far. So I stayed just in Incheon, and there was a ferry like 200 yards from my hotel that would go to uh, Womido or Womi Island every, I don't know, 14 times a day. And over in Womido, they have this really fantastic Chinatown, which I never did try out. So that's probably going to be one of the things I'll try next time. Um, yeah, I basically survived on konbini and fried chicken. It took me a couple of tries before I figured out how to order Korean style fried chicken, the sauced fried chicken. Yeah, the first couple times it was just plain, but this is just the learning process. So I don't know when I'll go, but I'll probably go back sometime next year because I really want to see those fantastic people again. My hotel was dirt cheap, um, but it was exactly what I expected, except for the stuff that I'd been misled about on that third party site. And structurally, I had an issue with the hotel because it was built around an atrium. So it didn't matter what floor you were on. If there was a baby crying somewhere in the hotel, or if people were coming back late from a party and they were still very boisterous at like 2 or 3 a.m., you'd hear it. And yeah, but the hotel was great. I think in some of my recent videos, there's me talking, doing confessionals and stuff in the little corner of the hotel room, but it was very decent. Anyway, it's time to crack a beer. All right, talk to you later.